Wyson. I'm doing a demo in wheel throwing pottery, which is a slightly daunting thing to say because I am certainly a hobbyist rather than an artist. I have a real enthusiasm for pottery, and I've taken it up and changed my garden shed into a little bit of a pottery. But I thought the point of this is maybe just to show you a few of the things that I think is helpful, beginners tips, having recently been a total beginner myself, and also to give you some tips on maybe how to start up. I started probably, 4 or 5 years ago. There was a course at the Gateway in Shrewsbury. It was an evening course, so I went along to that. It was about 8 sessions, and I found I had a real passion for wheel throwing. Really enjoyed just making things for friends, family, and for my house. I really like the fact that I mainly concentrate on making mugs and bowls and plates and things like that you can use around the home, and my kitchen is now full of handmade things, which I think is really nice. So I'll show you just what I do on the wheel in a minute. But firstly I'll show you around my shed. So these are some of the things that I've made. There's things like a salt pig there, some lidded pots that I quite enjoy making. This is a set of bowls I've made for a wedding present for somebody. And this is my kiln, which was sort of disused in somebody's garage. It's just a load of fire bricks and like electric heating elements, like a kettle. And this is my wheel. I bought a wheel from Mike at Wenlock Pottery. Kindly sold it to me. I think it was the wheel he learnt on. It's, as you can see, a little bit rusty, little bit old, but it works. It's just a simple motor. So I bought that off him, and the hardest thing about that was just moving it to its present location, because it's extremely heavy, but it wasn't expensive, and it's been a really good wheel to learn on. So I will now just do a little demo. You just throw it onto the centre of the wheel. You just knead and make sure there's no air bubbles in a lot of clay. So we do what you call wedging, which is a certain type of kneading. A ball of clay about this size that fits in your hands well is about the easiest one to centre. Now centering, I found the most difficult thing. If you centre well, so get your clay absolutely moving evenly, and right in the centre of the wheel, then it's just, you can throw anything, but it's like if you can't centre, you just can't start. It just doesn't work. So we'll give it a go. It's just putting a lot of pressure on the clay to move into the middle of the wheel and moving it around to a pillar sort of shape, and squashing it down and just making sure that you're braced against the edge of the wheel here. This has got a really nice edge, and that you push really hard to make it stay absolutely in the centre, so there's no lumps sort of off centre. So we'll give it a go. This wheel's a bit noisy, so sorry about that. So it plays quite nicely, coming up into how you just push really hard and the clay squeezes up. Down and making sure I keep one hand really even, like really pushing against the sides of it. And you just do that a couple of times. Everything you do, you've got to remove your hands slowly from the wheel and try and do everything slowly, because it's so easy to push the clay off centre if anyone's had a go. And I do this with the wheel turning quite fast. So when you've got the clay centred in the middle of the wheel, the aim is sort of to throw a cylinder. So the first thing I do is I really brace my arms on the top, and then the wheel's going a bit slower, and I just lower my thumb, just slowly, and making sure it's absolutely central. I always like brace even another hand against it, and just push the clay down. But because you're going to take it off the wheel later, you want to leave about 1 centimetre depth, but you just get used to judging by feel. But at the beginning, you can always stop your wheel, stick a needle in or something, and know that it is about that depth. So the best thing to throw at the beginning, I'll probably throw a bowl today, but the best thing to throw at the beginning is a cylinder. You can just go from there by pushing it outwards and turning it into a bowl. Or you can leave it as a cylinder in a vase or a mug or whatever you want it to be. But opening the clay out into just the width you want it to be of its final shape. So the base of my bowl I want to be about there, so I've just pulled the clay outwards by bracing on it and then just pushing on the inside, making sure I'm leaving the bottom nice and even. And then you just begin what's drawing up. Now I stick a knuckle in at the bottom, bracing on the edge, and start to just draw the clay up by steady pinching, and always my hands are kind of locked onto each other as well, so that I don't push the pot off centre. And you just get quite a lot of your height in that first drawing up. Now just draw it up a bit higher, and I can take my time doing this. Don't ever be tempted to do anything too quickly with clay, because it has a sort of tendency to just suddenly do something you don't want it to do. Just keep slow and even pressure on it to build it up. And now is when I think my walls are about thin enough. I'll just take a bit off the bottom there. So one hand's working on the inside, and that's putting a bit more pressure, pushing it outwards, bellying it out so you can see it change shape, so that it becomes a bit more like a bowl shape. And do the rim, and I will keep going and just do another pressing outwards. Making a bowl shape like that. And I'll slowly come down and I sponge off the wheel head, and there's different ways of taking it off the wheel. You can just wire it off and then just take it off with your fingers, but at the beginning I like to soak the wheel head in water, get a wire with 2 handles on the end. You can make it yourself if you want. Quite a lot of pottery tools can be made yourself, and then wire your pot off the wheel, and maybe once more drawing the water through underneath, making it slippery. And I should probably do this onto a bat or onto something, but we there have a bowl, and I can just pop that on the surface, and later I could wait for it to dry out a bit and then add handles or add anything I want to add, and then maybe tomorrow it will have dried out enough that I would turn it, which is just trimming off the bottom. So I hope that might have inspired some of you to take it up. I think it's a really good hobby. Lots of people have had a try at it, but just it is a bit daunting taking that next step into all the equipment. But I found it certainly the only way that I could really improve quickly, because it just wasn't enough like once a week to really get better and get stuck into practicing, and I found that a bit frustrating, so that's why I did it. But actually loads of the equipment you can either build yourself, you can build your own kiln, you can do some really interesting things. There's loads of books, there's loads of YouTube video on instructionals on how to do things. So I'm largely self-taught, and I'm not making anything, you know, fabulous by any means, but I'm certainly, you know, really happy doing it, and I just think certainly I'm making things I can use, and that's really satisfying to me. So thank you very much for watching, and yeah, get potting.